Hello and welcome to Derek McGuire's Week 2 coding project. This one is for the Cascading Style Sheets CSS. We had a project we created last week. There was an HTML website page. I've got that pulled up here. I'm going to go to the home and just make sure this works. There we go. So basically I got the home page with several websites. This is a Simpsons, so it's the home and then the family for 5 characters. And if you saw last week's video, everything looked a little different. Now I've got a background, I've got style, I've got font families, I've got div classes, I've got ID selectors. And so basically here's my it's external CSS. And I went through and just to clean things up, I actually numbered all the elements I have, and there was about 16 elements or types of elements, categories of elements in these websites. And external CSS, you create a .css file in your workspace, and then you start to do the selectors. You can do element selector, class selector, ID selector. And there is a hierarchy of inheritance and specificity. So there's precedence. ID selectors take the most precedence, and then it comes class selectors, and then comes element selectors. So you can create an element selector for the entire body, and then if you wanted to get more specific, a better example would be like a header. If you had an element selector for a header, you could have certain headers, just a general overall header format, and then you could specify specific headers. So I did that here with the paragraph. I have an element selector for the paragraph, actually, and the paragraph itself, I just make sure that all paragraphs are bold. And then I used an ID selector for that's called large paragraph, and I just used that at the top of the page for all the character pages. So you go to Marge's page. Here you can see it's 30 pixel font. That's the font size right here. The ID uses the hashtag or the octothorpe, as I've learned, or pound sign or number sign. And so that's that. And as you do the formatting here in your cascading style sheets, the CSS, it cascades when you save. So that's the advantage of using an element selector, that essentially once you do that, you don't have to add any class or ID to any of the attributes to the element tags in your HTML. So for the body, actually, I did use a class selector. I created a class to change the background color. The default here is a kind of lime green, and then I changed it to new body to have a kind of yellow background. And you can see here in the home page, I have body class equals new body. So you create it in the CSS, you link your CSS here. All these pages have this, and that allows you to cascade the changes. And so once I do the class new body, it has the background of the yellow color. And so here we have the ID. It's the large paragraph for the characters. Homer, Marge, Bart, Lisa, Maggie all have the large paragraph. The home page does not, so I use the ID. I can choose which paragraphs I want to apply that to with the ID. Kind of the same principle as the class. So the specificity allows you to pick and choose where you apply things. I've got the form. You can change the border, the background. You got the content, padding, border, margins. Everything's laid out in a sort of format of boxes. I didn't have the grid format applied yet, or the flex box yet, but we learned about that this week. And overall, I've got things like you can hover. The links, when you click them, if you notice, it changes color. A visited link leaves a certain thing. None of these have been unvisited, so I'd have to add a new link to show that. But anyway, that is my website. That is with the CSS applied. You can see the code here. It's on GitHub as well. And thank you so much for watching. Have a great rest of your week.